and welcome to The Joy of Painting with me, Mr. Martin. And you've joined me on a lovely sunny day today, and we're going to make sure that we get some of life's beauty of nature onto this canvas right here. So thank you for joining me. So for this piece of artwork, all you're going to need is something to paint on. It doesn't have to be canvas like I've got here. It can be anything. It can be paper, a bit of card, anything at all will work for this. It's whatever you make of it. You're also going to need something to paint with. Now I have got gouache paints, which I have here. I will be putting up a few of the paints that you're going to need in this piece of artwork. And again, you don't have to have gouache paints, you don't even have to have paints. You could have colouring pencils or felt tips, whatever works for you, because that's all that this is about. Again, I've got a selection of paintbrushes here. I've got my 1.5 inch, my 1 inch, and I've also got my little fan brush here, which we're going to use to do some trees. So, let's get started, shall we? So the first thing you're going to want to do is take your big brush here. Now ideally this would be a 2-inch brush, but I've only got the 1.5 inch, so that'll do for now. And we're just going to take a little bit of this blue, just on the corner, and we're going to just start doing some little X's. Just some X's. It's whatever you make of it. It doesn't matter if it looks just like mine. It doesn't matter if it looks completely different. As long as you've got something on there, then you're doing the right thing. Now for this piece we are going to have a lake at the bottom, a nice lovely lake. Now with lakes, because they're still, we want to do it horizontal lines. We want to start from the outside coming in, because we want to leave a little gap in the middle for that reflection of the light. So again, we get some blue on there. You can use the exact same blue. You might want to mix it a little bit with some other paints, but for now we're just going to keep it the same. That's the thing with painting, you can always go over. If you think you want to change something a little bit later, that's absolutely fine. And it doesn't matter if it's perfect. It doesn't even matter if you go slightly off course for what you were going to do. As long as you end up with something, then you've made a piece of art. One more thing you're going to need for this is just a pot of water, just so you can easily clean that brush whenever you need to. Make sure you don't fill it too much, otherwise you might spill a little bit on the floor. But that's okay. This floor is clean as well, and that's fine. Now we're going to mix a little bit of our paints now. So what we ideally want is like a pinkish colour. Now I don't actually have a pinkish colour, so I'm just going to use what I've got. And we'll see what we come up with. I'm going to use this red here and this purple. I'm just going to take a little bit of that, I'm just going to put it in the middle here, and I'm going to mix those two things together and see what we end up with. Just going to mix in a little bit of this yellow just to see what we come up with. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect, it doesn't have to be exactly what you originally planned, just as long as you end up with some colour, some interesting colour. It's always good to have an interesting mix of colours. I've got a nice little orange going on there now, which is going to suit me just fine. We're going to apply this to the middle bit. Again, just little X's. Just putting X's all over this. Just going to fill in this white space now. Okay, we're going to leave that like that for now. We're just going to keep going, and we're going to just add a few little more details in now and see how we get on with that. We've got to clean off our brush. Now we're going to move over to a different brush now. We're going to use our fan brush. Now if you don't have a fan brush at home, that's absolutely fine. You can do the same thing with any old brush. But the fan brush is really useful for doing one thing in particular, and that's painting trees. So, trees, I always used to paint trees when I was a little kid, and I could never do them. It was something that I always tried to do, and I always tried to do a big sort of trunk and a big sort of puffy bit of greenery on top, and it never really worked out as well as I'd hoped. I've found a lot of different techniques for painting trees these days, and actually, you know, the best ones are sort of the simplest. So I'm going to show you how to do that now. So what we want to do is take a little bit of that blue again, but we also want to mix a darker blue in there as well if you've got that. So we're going to mix that in there. So we've got a slightly darker blue. Get that all over your brush. And all you're going to do is take your brush and just find a nice little spot for some trees. Now, these trees aren't going to be really detailed because they're quite far away, so they're going to be quite small. And we don't need to spend too much time on them. We're just going to put a little bit of detail in. So all you need to do is do a little line to show where your tree is, and then just sort of little Zs just all the way down. Now the top of your tree should be thinner than the bottom. Top of the tree thinner than the bottom. Okay, and another little tree in there. Just using the corner of your brush. And again, it doesn't matter about the detail, we're just putting in this little tree line here. Now what we want to do is just give this a little bit of a waterline. So we're going to take a little bit of our brown, a little bit of our sort of our yellowy browns here. And maybe we want to mix that with a little bit of a darker paint so that we have a slightly darker brown as well. We're just going to mix these two together until we have something a little bit browner, something darker that we can use for our shoreline here. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to go along the bottom here and make a little shoreline. What we can also do here is just take a little bit of our white, and again, not too much, just a little bit, and go along the bottom of our tree line here, because then what that does is it creates a little bit of an illusion of something behind the trees, and then we just see our little stumps at the bottom. Now I'm going to take a slightly bigger brush, and I'm just going to get some more trees in there. I'm going to add some bigger trees in there, and then we're going to add some detail to them once we've done these. So all we need to do here is do a little thin line right along here. And again, it doesn't matter if it's super detailed, it doesn't matter if it's really thin, it doesn't matter if it ends up being exactly what you want. We're just going to go for it and see what happens. And then again, once we're at the top there, once we've got our little top of our tree, we're just going to add those little zigzags of little leaves on there as well. So just little going along. Now what we're going to do is we're just going to add a little bit of our brown in there, just to add that definition of the bark on the tree, on the actual trunk going down the middle. So we're just going to take a little bit of brown on there. I'm just going to do a little bit of a line down the middle. That's okay, we're going to paint over that in blue again, just because we don't want to see the whole of the tree trunk. You never see the whole of the tree trunk when you see a tree. You only see a little bit of the tree trunk. So again, we get our blue on the brush, and we go over that again, just little bits, just over there. So we end up seeing a little bit of that brown. Just like that, so we can see our tree under there. So now we've got something on the right side of our painting. We have to decide what we're going to do on the left side of our painting. Now we could do anything we want here. You might choose to do something yourself, you might choose to do what I'm doing. I think I'm going to go for another tree. I'm going to go for a really big tree on the left hand side, just to emphasize that space there. And we're going to do a really big tree here, all the way down here. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sort of do some foliage over here. So I'm just going to dab my brush all the way along here. We're going to fill this space in, because why not? Okay, and now we're going to go back to our tree, and we're just going to do the same technique we've been using the whole time. And we're just going to go from the top, little zigzags. And again, doesn't matter if we miss a bit, because we can always go back. We can always add that on. Let's give him a friend. Let's give the tree a friend, shall we? Everyone needs a friend. Even trees need a friend, so we've got a little friend. He's got a little friend there now. And he's got his little leaves as well. Now we're going to add a little bit of detail to this so that you can distinguish the trees a little bit. So we just need to wipe off our brush, or use a different one. Some people have got lots of brushes. Some people have got a brush for every colour. Some people don't. And that's fine as well. I don't. I have 3 brushes with me today. 1 for each size, and that's all I need. So, once you've wiped off your brush, we're going to add a little bit of detail here. So, first of all, we're going to take our brown again. We're going to get that bark down there. Right down the middle here. Just to show off that bark. Again for this tree as well. Now, because these are in our foreground, these are in the front of our painting, we want to add a little bit more detail to these. So, we're going to wash off our brush again. And what we're going to do is we're going to use a little bit of that green that we had already. We haven't touched the green yet. And some of you have probably been thinking, why Mr. Martin, why did you put that green up? Why did you say we need that green? Well, we need it for now. This is when we need it. So, once you wiped your brush off, I'm also using just a little bit of cloth down here just to give my brush a wipe. Ideally you want to use something a bit better than this, but just use what you got. Now I've got 2 different greens here. I think I'm just going to use this slightly darker one for now. I can always use the other one again later. But for now I'm just going to use the dark one. We're just going to go through and we're just going to add some detail to our trees. Again, just like what we've been doing before, but we're going to make them a little bit lighter. Not covering up all of that brown that we've put on there, because again, you want to see a little bit of those. A little bit of that bark. Okay, same for our friend. Going to do a little for our friend here. And we have our trees there. And you know what, I think I'm going to add a little bit more detail to this big tree over here as well, just to distinguish it from the rest of the trees we have over here. So we're going to just use a little bit more of that green on there. We're just going to give him a little bit of detail. I think he deserves a bit of detail too. And it's good to get those different shades in there. So if you've got multiple shades of a colour, you can always use a little bit on there. So I might just use a little bit of that lighter green that I had ready. And just add a little bit of that on my brush. Not too much, just a little bit. And just go over some of this as well. So you just get a little bit of detail on there. A little bit of bit of lighting on there. Different lighting for the tree. Just add some depth to it when you add all those different colours in. So adds a little bit of depth. And that's what we like. We like a little bit of depth. Bit of depth to our tree over here. Now I'm just going to add some extra details on there. Just finish off that sky as well. Because I think that sky's a little bit red at the moment. And I just want to add a little bit more pink to it. And again, like I say, if you decide that you don't like anything on your painting, you can always go over it again. So like now I'm adding a little bit more pink into here, and now I'll need to go over some of these blue bits again, just to make sure that it's nice and blended in properly, but that's okay. I can do that. We've got all the time in the world. And that's where we're going to call it today. We're going to just leave it there. We've got a nice little painting today, some nice little trees, a lake, and a nice little sunset sky. So hopefully you enjoyed today, and hopefully you can join in and show me what you can do as well at home. So thank you for coming, thank you for watching, and thank you for listening to me as I talk and do this nice little painting. So I'll see you next time.